Dyslexic genius here. What I'm going to talk about is oiling an Edison Gem Model D, the Maroon Gem as it's known, the 2 4-minute one. And we're going to start at the bottom end. It has 4 holes, 4 screws that screw in from the bottom of the base plate right here. We've taken those out, and then we have the cover that we took off. This is the inside of an Edison Gem Model D, but this works for all gems. They're all basically the same. On the spring barrel, when the spring was relaxed, you can push in some green grease. You see I've done that here. I pushed in green grease and then cranked it up and got it.
There's no cover on there.
There's no cover, no barrel. So let's start. This is the governor drive gear, and this is the gear on the governor. We want to coat this with the Hootie graphite grease with a pinch of STP. So when the machine's running, you can just do it like this. Just dab the Hootie on like this, you know, touch it. And then you can come back and hit it 5 or 6 times with STP. Then you're going to come back, because this is a brass gear on a steel gear, we're going to do the same thing with a Hootie grease and a little STP with a Starbucks stopper. Now when we're in here, we can put a little bit of green grease on their winding crank gear, or you can just leave it bare. I've left this one bare, it doesn't hurt them, but a little would help. So then you come to the outside here, and these push in and push out. So
What pushes in and pushes
the
out?
crank pushes in and pushes out in cranking. So you want to put a little dab of sewing machine oil here, 1 or 2 little drops for this and the rotation of the crank. Then you're going to come back in the motor, and you're going to drop a little bit of sewing machine oil here, and then this shaft comes all the way through that casting there, so you'll put a little sewing machine oil down in here.
Hold still. Down in where?
Right down in there, or let's go this way, right down in here.
Okay.
Okay? Then we're going to put a little sewing machine oil right down in here for the cranking. And then we're going to put a little sewing machine oil right there for running. And then this bottom gear, you're going to have to use the spout thing and get it down in here, or follow this gear in.
With sewing machine oil.
With sewing machine oil. Right. The rest of these, you can use Hootie or you can use green grease on these gears here. But it's critical on the drive gear in here that you use the Hootie graphite grease with a little bit of STP, because you have a big brass gear running on that small gear. Now you're going to come in, here's the felt, the speed control. So we're going to put sewing machine oil there, sewing machine oil here, and back here on this bearing here. So there's no real bearing on this one, it just fits into the casting. So it's oil there and oil there. I'm going to rotate this up. What we're going to do is we're going to use super lube oil on the lead screw down here, which is fine. And then you can use super lube on the back rod or sewing machine oil. I prefer sewing machine oil. So you put a couple of drops here, down that like that, so that the carriage will slide back and forth. Now, since you have the sewing machine oil and you have bearings on the lead screw, you're going to come back in and you're going to put a little dab of sewing machine oil here, because this hooks into a bearing. You'll come over here and you'll put a little oil right there, because this hooks into a bearing. And you'll come back, you'll put about 4 drops of sewing machine oil on the rail, so that the carriage will run smoothly back and forth like this. Now you can manually turn this over, and we have a hole right here. And that's because this gear is running on the mandrel shaft that goes through. You're going to put a little drop of oil, sewing machine oil there, and then you're going to put a little drop right there, and a little drop between the pin here and the gear right there. and you're going to have to come over. It's a little tricky with these. You can see here's the 2 4-minute gearing system right here. We're going to pull this gear out. So you're going to push that in, and you're going to push this forward, and you're going to put a little bit of sewing machine oil right there, because this goes back and forth, and then right next to this gear right here. This gear has a hole in it. Which is like right there, a little bitty hole. And you want to drop some in there. Now, on running the gear train, I haven't discussed the gear train yet, you can run a little dab of STP on these gears. And that way, it won't flow out all the way, but it'll stick to those steel gears, and it'll make the 2 4-minute system a little bit quieter. So when you crank it up and it's running, and you're switching it back between 2 and 4, you take your Starbucks stopper and you just put a little on each one till you see it's mixed in on the 2 gears. And you'll see it kind of, when the 2 gears are running like this, you'll kind of see a wave where it's connecting with it. It'll make it run a lot better. It doesn't need a lot of STP, but a little bit. And this is the on-off switch one here. You turn this here. Like that. That doesn't need any oil. And that's all there is to doing an Edison Gem. This works on any Edison Gem, but if you have one that's been converted to 2 4-minute, it'll be the same. But basically, it's the same without doing the gear train on them. And that's my tip for the day, and I hope you enjoy this wonderful new shop all lit up with LED, because the old guy with the one eyeball can see everything now. And we should have it back and running here in a few weeks, we hope. And that's my tip for the day.